Welcome back to episode 12 of the Sleepy podcast. Today I'm going to be reading an article on Wikipedia called The Office American TV Series. If you do enjoy this video, remember to like and subscribe at the start, as you may be asleep by the end. Also, if you have any ideas for anything you want me to read, please leave it in the comments and I'll almost certainly get around to it. The Office is an American mockumentary sitcom television series that depicts the everyday work lives of office employees in Scranton, Pennsylvania, branch of the fictional Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. It aired on NBC from the 24th of March 2005 to May the 16th, 2013, lasting a total of 9 seasons. Based on the 2001 to 2003 BBC series by the same name, it was adapted for American television by Greg Daniels, a veteran writer for Saturday Night Live, King of the Hill, and The Simpsons. It was co-produced by Daniels DLD Productions and Revenue Productions in association with Universal Television. The original executive producers were Daniel, Howard Klein, Ben Silverman, Ricky Gervais, and Stephen Merchant, with numerous others being promoted in later seasons. Like its British counterpart, the series was filmed in a single camera setup without an audio audience or laugh track, to simulate the look of an actual documentary. The series debuted on NBC as a mid-season replacement and aired 201 episodes for its run. The Office originally featured Steve Carell, Rainn Wilson, John Krasinski, Jenna Fischer, and B.J. Novak as the main cast. However, as the series experienced numerous changes to its ensemble cast during its run, notable stars outside the original main cast include Ed Helms, Amy Ryan, Mindy Kaling, Greg Robinson, James Spader, Ellie Kemper, and Catherine Tate. The Office was met with mixed reviews during its first season, but following the seasons, particularly those featuring Carell, received significant acclaim from television critics, and the tone diverged considerably from the British version. These seasons were included on several critics' year-end TV top lists, winning several awards such as the Peabody Award in 2006, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, a Golden Globe Award for Carell's performance, and 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, including one for Outstanding Comedy Series in 2006. The 8th season was criticised for a decline in quality. Many saw Carell's departure in season 7 as a contributing factor. However, the 9th and final season ended run with generally positive reviews. The series finale, which originally aired on May 6, 2013, was viewed by an estimated 5.69 million viewers and garnered critical acclaim. In 2016, Rolling Stone named The Office one of the 100 greatest television shows of all time. Production. Greg Daniels developed the British Office series for American television and served as the showrunner for the first 4 seasons of the series. He then left the position and co-created the comedy series Parks and Recreation with fellow Office writer Michael Schur. Paul Lieberstein and Jennifer Coletta were named as the showrunners for the 5th season. Coletta left the series after the 6th season and Lieberstein stayed on as the showrunner for the following 2 seasons. He left the showrunner spot after the 8th season for the potential Dwight Schrute spin-off The Farm, which was eventually passed on by NBC. Daniels returned to the showrunner position for the 9th and final season. Other executive producers include cast members B.J. Novak and Mindy Kaling. Kaling, Novak, Daniels, Lieberstein, and Schur made up the original team of writers. Kaling and Novak and Lieberstein also served multiple roles on the series, as they played regular characters on the show, as well as wrote, directed, and produced episodes. Credited with 24 episodes, Kaling is the most prolific writer among the staff. Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, who created the original British series, are credited as executive producer, and wrote the pilot and the 3rd season episode, The Convict. Merchant later directed the episode Customer Survey, while Gervais appeared in the episodes The Seminar and Search Committee. Development and writing. Prior to the 2nd episode airing, the writer spent time conducting research in offices. This process was used for Daniels' series King of the Hill and Parks and Recreation. The pilot is a direct adaptation for the 1st episode of the British series. Daniels chose to go this route because completely starting from scratch would be a very risky thing to do. Owing to the show being an adaptation, he briefly considered using the idea for The Dundies as the pilot episode. After the writers knew who the cast was, they were allowed to write for the actors, which allowed the show to have more of the following episode, including Diversity Day. Following the mixed reaction towards the first season, the writers attempted to make the most optimistic and make Michael Scott more likeable. They also established them as characters in the first series, giving them more relatable personalities. They also made Lights in the Office brighter, which allowed the series to differentiate itself from the British series. The common problem with the scripts, according to Novak, is that they tended to run too long for a regular 22-minute time slot, leading to several cuts. For example, the script for the episode Search Committee was originally 75 pages, which was 10 pages too long. A complete script was written for each episode, however actors were given opportunities to improvise during filming. Fisher said, "Our show is 100% scripted. They put everything down on paper, but we get to play around a little bit too. Steve and Rain are brilliant improvisers." These improvisations lead to a large number of deleted scenes with almost every episode of The Office, all of which are considered part of the show's canon and storyline by Daniels. Deleted scenes have sometimes been restored into repeats to make the episode longer, or draw back people who have only seen the episode before the bonus footage. In an experiment, a deleted scene from The Return was made available over NBC.com and iTunes, explaining that the absence of the character over the next several episodes. Daniels hoped that word of mouth from fans would spread the information, but he eventually considered the experiment a failure. According to Jenna Fisher, the series used an unusual casting process that did not involve a script. The producers would ask the actors several questions and they would respond in the characters they were auditioning for. NBC programmer Kevin Riley originally suggested that Paul Giamatti to produce Ben Silversman for the role of Michael Scott, but the actor declined. Martin Short, Hank Azaria, and Bob Odenkirk were reportedly interested in the part. In February 2004, Variety reported that Steve Carell, on the Comedy Central program The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, was in talks to play the role. At the time, he had already committed to another NBC mid-season replacement comedy, Come to Papa, but the series was quickly cancelled, allowing his full commitment to The Office. Carell later stated that he'd only seen about half of the original pilot of the British episode before he auditioned. He did not continue watching for fear that he would start copying Gervais's characterizations. Other people who were considered or auditioned for the role included Ben Falcone, Alan Tudyk, Jim Zervik, I'm sorry if I'm saying these wrong, and Paul F. Tompkins. Rainn Wilson was cast as a power-hungry sycophant, Dwight Schrute, and watched every episode of the British series before he auditioned. Wilson originally auditioned for Michael, a performance that he described as a terrible Ricky Gervais impression. However, the casting directors liked his audition as Dwight much more and hired him. Seth Rogen, Matt Besser, Patton Oswalt, and Jediah Freightlancer also auditioned for the role. Kredinsky and Jenna Fisher were cast in respective roles as Jim and Pam, the main love interests. Kredinsky had attended school with B.J. Novak, and the two were best friends in school. Fisher prepared for her audition by looking as boring as possible, creating the original Pam hairstyle. In an interview on NPR's Fresh Air, Fisher recalled the last stages of the audition process for Pam and Jim, with the producers partnering the different potential Pam and Jims, 4 of each, to gather and gauge their chemistry. When Fisher finished her scene with Kredinsky, she told her that his favourite Pam, to which she reciprocated that he was her favourite Jim. Adam Scott and John Cho both auditioned for the role of Jim. Catherine Hahn also auditioned for the role of Pam. The supporting cast includes actors known for their improv work: Angela Kinsky, Kate Flannery, Oscar Nunez, I'm so sorry if I'm saying these wrong, Leslie David Baker, Brian Baumgartner, Melora Hardin, and David Denman. Kinsey had originally auditioned for Pam. The producers thought that she was too feisty for the character, but then called her back for the part of Angela Martin, which she won. Flannery first auditioned for the part of Jan Leveson Gould before landing the role of Meredith Palmer. Baumgartner originally auditioned as Stanley, but was eventually cast as Kevin. Ken Corpus, the original director of the pilot, liked the way Phyllis Smith, a casting associate, read with the other actors auditioning, so cast her as Phyllis. At the beginning of the third season, Ed Helms and Rashida Jones joined the cast members of Dunder Mifflin Stamford. While Jones would later leave the cast and end up in a role on Parks and Recreation in February 2007, NBC announced that Helms was later promoted to a series regular. 4 of the show's writers have also performed in front of the camera. B.J. Novak was the first person to be hired on the cast as the reluctant temp Ryan Howard, after Daniels saw his stand-up act. Paul Leverstein was cast as Human Resources Director Toby Flanderson, on Novak's suggestion, which was cold reading of scripts. Greg Daniels was originally unsure where to use Mindy Kaling on screen in the series, until the opportunity came in when they read the second episode, Diversity Day, where Michael needed to be slapped by a minority. Since that slap, I've been on the show, as Kelly Kapoor, says Kaling. Michael Shaw had also made occasional appearances as Dwight's cousin Mose, and consulting director Larry Wilmore has played diversity trainer Mr. Brown. Plans were made for Mackenzie Crook, Martin Freeman, and Lucy Davis from the British series to appear in the third season, but those plans were scrapped due to scheduling conflicts. Filming. The Office was filmed with a single camera setup in style to create the look of an actual documentary, with no studio audience or laugh track, allowing its deadpan and absurd humour to fully come across. The show's primary residents, the camera crew in filming Dunder Mifflin, and its employees seemingly around the clock. The presence of the camera is acknowledged by the characters, especially Michael Scott, who enthusiastically participates in the filming. The characters, especially Jim and Pam, also look towards the camera when Michael creates an awkward situation. The main action of the show is supplemented with talking head interviews or confessionals, in which the characters speak one-on-one with the camera crew. Actor John Stravinsky shot the footage of Scranton for his opening credits, after he found that the cast was Jim. He visited Scranton for research and interviewed employees at actual paper companies. To get the feel of an actual documentary, the producers hired cinematographer Randall Einhorn, who is known for directing episodes of Survivor, which allowed the show to have a feel of rough and jumpy like an actual documentary. According to producer Michael Shaw, the producers of the series would follow the documentary format strictly. The producers would have also long-run discussions about whether a scene could work under a documentary format. For example, in the 4th episode, Did I Stutter?, a scene featuring Michael going through a long process to the bathroom and not passed by Stanley. The producers debated whether it was possible, and Einhorn walked through the whole scene in order to see if a camera operator could get through the places in time to shoot the whole scene. Despite the strict nature of the early years of the series, later seasons seem to have loosened the rules on the format, with the camera crew often going into places that an actual documentary crew would not, which also changed the writing and comedy style of the series. This inconsistency has received criticism from critics and fans. Music. When it came to choosing the theme tune for The Office, producer Greg Daniels had several tracks he was thinking of using. Existing songs included Better Things by the Kinks, Float On by Modest Mouse, and Mr. Blue Sky by the Electric Light Orchestra, and several original pieces artists contributed to the producers via a cattle call. Daniels decided that the cast would vote on the song and use them for the 4th series choices. Most of them wanted Mr. Blue Sky, but that option turned out to be invalid as it was already used by the drama series LAX from 2004-2005. Thus, the final version choice was an original track written by Jay Ferguson and performed by the Scrantons. The theme is played over a title sequence which features scenes of Scranton, various tasks around the office and main cast members. Some episodes of the series use shortened versions of the theme song. Starting with the 4th season, the theme song is played over the closing credits, which previously rolled into silence. The exteriors of the building and the title sequence are actual buildings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which were shot by cast members John Krasinski. Ferguson described his theme as against type, it has vulnerability. This yearning in his soon explodes into what is overdone optimism, which then gets crushed, which is pretty much what the show is about. The mockumentary format of the show contains no laugh track, and most of the music is diegetic, with songs either sung or played by the characters or heard on radios, computers, or other devices. However, songs have been played during montage routines and with closing credit, such as Tiny Dancer by Elton John, The Dundies, The Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton in Email Surveillance, Featured music tends to be well known and often reflects the character, such as Michael's attempt to seem hip by using Mambo No. 5 and later My Hums as his cell phone ringtone. Daniels has said that it does not count as the film score, as long as it has already appeared in the episode. Product placements. The Office has product placement deals with Staples and Olympic Bowlers, as well as mentioning in dialogue or displaying clear logos for products such as Sandals Resorts, HP, Apple, and Gateway Computers, and Activision's Call of Duty video game series. In the merger, Kevin alone uses a Staples branded shredding machine to shred a Staples branded CDR and many other non-paper items, including a salad, as well as a HP Cisco Systems, a supplier of networking and telephone equipment, paid for the product placement, which can be seen on up-close shots of Cisco IP telephones. Some products have additionally branded labels. This can be clearly seen when an HP photo printer on Table's desk in Season 6, and less noticeably the Cisco phones. In The Secret, Michael takes Jim to Hooters to discuss Jim's feelings for Pam. Many products featured are not part of product placement agreement, but rather inserted by writers and products, so the characters would use them to create realism under the guise of a documentary. Chili's restaurant were used for filming The Dundies and The Client, and the writers believed they were realistic choices for a company party and a business lunch. Though do not explicit product placement, the producers of the show had to allow Chili's to have final approval of the script before filming, cursing a scene in The Dundies to be hastily rewritten when a chain object was original version. Apple Inc. received over 4 minutes of publicity when the iPod, when it was used as a much-desired gift in the Christmas party, though the company did not pay for placement. The travel website TripAdvisor.com was featured during Season 4 after a visit to Dwight's Bread and Breakfast in Shroot Farms. Jim and Pam posted a review online about their story. Proposed spin-offs. A spin-off to the series was proposed in 2008, with a pilot episode expected to debut after the Super Bowl lead-up program in 2009. However, the Office creative team instead decided to develop Parks and Recreation as a separate series. The idea created by the writers was a copy machine breaks in the office, and it was recalled, fixed, and shipped to Palmyra in Indiana, the setting of Parks and Recreation. The idea was scrapped in favor of making Parks and Recreation independent of the office. Also, actress Rashida Jones was to portray a different character in both, causing a problem with a potential spin-off. Another spin-off starring Rainn Wilson and Dwight Schrute running bed and breakfast at a beet farm titled The Farm was proposed in early 2012. In October 2012, however, NBC decided not to go forward with the series. A backdoor pilot was produced, and although the show was not picked up, it was modified and aired during the 9th season as The Farm. In July 2020, Leslie David Baker launched a Kickstarter campaign to produce a production of a pilot, Uncle Stan, a proposed spin-off focusing on his now engaged Stanley Hudson. After several years of enjoying a relatively uneventful retirement, Uncle Stan receives an urgent call for help from his favourite nephew, Lucky, a recent widower with 2 small children and a motorcycle repair/flower shop in Los Angeles. Soon Uncle Stan finds himself dishing out all the support and guidance he has to offer in his new California home. Reboot. In September 2019, with the announcement of a replacement NBC Universal streaming service, Peacock Bonnie Hammer, chairman to direct to consumer and digital enterprises at NBCU, stated that her hope and goal is to do what The Office reboot. In March 2020, former showrunner Greg Daniels expressed doubts at a reboot being possible, and later that year, former NBC president of original content, Bill McGoldrick, stated that a reboot has not come up specifically for Peacock. Ratings. Premiering on Thursday, the 24th of March 2005, after an episode of The Apprentice on NBC, The Office brought in 11.2 million viewers in the US, winning its time slot. When NBC moved the series to an intended Tuesday night slot, it lost nearly half its audience with only 5.9 million viewers. The program averaged 5.4 million viewers, ranking it 102 for the 2004-2005 US television season. Hot Girl, the first season's finale, rated a 2.2 with a 10 audience measurement share. Episodes were also rerun on CNBC. As the second season started, the success of Carell's hit summer movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and online sales of the episode at iTunes helped the show. The increase in viewership led to NBC to move the series to a must-see TV Thursday night in January 2006, where ratings continued to grow. By the 2005-2006 season, it placed 67, tied with 2020. It averaged 8 million viewers with a 4 rating out of 10. Share among viewers aged 18 to 49 and was 80% in viewers for the year before and up and 60% in viewers aged 18 to 49. That was a long sentence. The series ranked as NBC's highest rated scripted series during its run. The highest rated episode of the series was Stress Relief, which was watched by more than 22.9 million viewers. This episode was aired right after the Super Bowl XLIII. I apologise, my Roman numerals aren't good enough to know what number that actually is. While later seasons dropped in the ratings, the show was still one of NBC's highest rated shows, and in October 2011 it was reported that it cost $178,840 per 30-second commercial for most of its NBC scripted series. Sadly, there is a lot more of this article, but I am going to make this part the last section as I am supposed to be working right now. Cultural impact. The city of Scranton, long known mainly for its industrial past of coal mining and its rail centre, has embraced and ultimately have been redefined by the show. "We're really hip now," says the mayor's assistant. The Dunder Mifflin logo is on a lamppost banner for the front of Scranton City Hall, as well as a pedestrian bridge at the mall at Sleamtown. The Pennsylvania Paper Company and Supply Company, whose tower is shown in the opening credits, plans to add its tower as well as the newspaper in northern cities, having published travel guides to Scranton's locations for tourists interested in visiting places mentioned in the show. Scranton has become identified in the shows outside the United States as well. The inaugural The Office convention was held in downtown October 2007. Notable landmarks, some of which are the settings of the show that served as venues, including the University of Scranton and the Radisson Laguardia Station Hotel, and the mall at Steamtown. Cast appeared were made by B.J. Novak, Ed Helms, Oscar Newens, Angela Kingsley, Brian Boomgarder, Leslie David Baker, Mindy Kaling, Craig Robinson, Phyllis Smith, Creed Bratton, Kate Flannery, Bobby Ray Schaefer, and Andy Buckley. Besides Novak and Kraling, writer appearances were made by Greg Daniels, Michael Schur and Jennifer Celesta, Lee Eisenberg, Gene Sputzinski, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, I definitely did, Justin Spitzer, Anthony Farrell, Ryan Coe, Leslie Lewis and Jason Kelsler. Not present were writer and actor Paul Lieberstein, who originally was going to make an appearance, Steve Carell, John Krasinski, Rainn Wilson, and Jenna Fisher. On an episode of The Daily Show, Republican presidential candidate John McCain, reportedly a devoted fan of the show, jokingly told Jon Stewart that he might make Dwight Schrute his running mate. Rainn Wilson later accepted on Dwight Schrute's behalf while on The Late Show with Jay Leno, after the airing of Garage Sale, where the character Michael Scott decided to move to Colorado. Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper issued a press release appointing Scott to the position of Director of Paper Distribution in the Department of Natural Resources. The show had often made paid contributions to the band Reliant K frontman Matt Thiessen, who was a fan of The Office and during concerts will often perform a self-described love song about the series, titled The Ballad of Dunder Mifflin. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sleepy Podcast. I'm sorry there is still some left to read, but I basically decided I would read until I get an email back from work, which I now have. So thank you for listening, and if you are still awake, feel free to listen to any of the other episodes. There is a playlist on my channel where you can listen to all of them without ad or commercial interruption. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, and good night.